Fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. Testing season here at Tennis Nerd HQ. So many rackets. We just finished Yonex V-Core 98 tour review. Check that out. It's a great frame. We are currently testing the Technifiber TF40. Members already know what I think about that one. It's on patreon.com/tennisnerd, or if you're a YouTube member. And there's the Prince Beast Limited 100. It's the Head Gravity Tour 98, Vulkel Vustra V9, and a bunch more. So lots of stuff going on, lots of tennis being played, but that's what we do over here. This video is not about rackets though, it's about strings and a few strings that I have played and tested recently that I really think you should try. I test strings all the time. I tested many strings, but these are the ones I think stand out in some way. So I want to highlight those strings instead of just doing one video per string. We will start this video with a string that I've played in the TF40 mainly, but also in the Nordic Dots Model 99. It's the Tru Pro Pure Rush. This is a 6-sided blue string with kind of an explosive feel, very good snapback and ball bite, a little bit more power. If you wonder what Tru Pro is, it is a brand that used to be called Tier 1. Not sure if there were legal reasons for the change of name, but they're now Tru Pro. They are a bit more famous for strings like Ghostwire and Black Knight maybe. But this string is their newest edition, and they sent me a sample and I really enjoyed it. I was a bit skeptical. As always, there's so many string brands. I get inundated with requests to try new strings. I say no to most of them, to be honest, but I know Tier 1 had good strings, so I wanted to try this one, and it did not disappoint. Other YouTubers have also given it glowing reviews. I thought I was like the first one, but I don't keep my eyes on the pulse enough. But this one actually plays with all these characteristics that if you want like a softer string but you don't want to get it completely mushy, you know, like this has kind of a nice crisp sensation, and the ball really is grabbed by the string bed. Sometimes you get an extra injection of power, like you feel like it really shoots out, not kind of catapulting in a way, but it's not bad. Like if you're on defense, it actually works really well. It seems to respond really well to the face of the racket, like how if you're hitting it flat, it responds to that. With more shape, you can get a really good bite on the ball. So this has become one of my favorite strings lately, and I really enjoyed playing with it, especially in a control racket, because it adds a bit more power to it, but without reducing too much control or not having any snapback, you know. So you want that like ball to really dip in over again. That's what I look for from a polyester string, and Pure Rush has it. My father, who plays with the 6195 1618, he's 67 years old. I know he should not be playing with that racket, but you know, he likes it. He really loves this string. He really thinks it's one of the best strings he's tried, and I've given him many strings over the years, and I like it too. It's really excellent control racket. As I said, TF40, Nordic Dots Model 99, it worked well as well. I think if you go maybe a bit bigger head size, you need to go a bit higher in tension, kind of obvious. I tried this at 49 pounds, 22 kilos, and for me that was perfect. So really a string I want to recommend. The best string I've tried from Tru Pro. They have some other good strings like Duraflux. Is that the name of it? Sorry if I butchered that. There's so many strings to keep up with. That one I liked, had a bit more control, but overall this was my favorite, clear favorite from the Tru Pro lineup that I tried. So I can really recommend it. They have an affiliate discount code, 20% off using Tennis Nerd in their US, EU or global shop. So check it out. I really think it's a good one. It also comes at a good price, which I think is an important thing these days, especially since you're restringing quite a lot. 10 euros per set. I think that's approx $10, and a reel for like 100 or even lower, I think 79. This is a bargain reel, so really something you should consider if you like a string that gives you some control and spin, but it's a bit more powerful. If you're the biggest hitter in the universe, I think you might lack a bit of control from it. But for most rec players, this would be absolutely fine when it comes to control. And you can pick your gauge as well. So it's like 118, 123, 128, 133. So the thicker for better durability, maybe a bit more control. The thinner, I think, grabs the ball a bit better. Obviously not quite as durable, a little bit more powerful. But Tru Pro Pure Rush, very good string. Tennis Nerd approved. That's the first string of today. On the other side of the coin or the racket, whatever you want to call it, we find the Nordic Dots TS127. This string is in quite a contrast to Pure Rush and the other string I will talk about, a more firm string, but it's perhaps become my favorite string, at least in recent times, especially when I need a bit more confidence and I want to swing out and really feel like the ball goes in over and over again. I don't want to feel any kind of power from the strings. This is a dead string. If you're thinking like all the power, maybe MSV Focus Hex, these kind of strings that are like Solinco Confidential is another string I would kind of liken to this one. Quite firm, so I really suggest you string it a little bit lower maybe than you usually do. I've tried it up to 55 pounds, I've tried it down to 35 pounds. On 55 it's a bit too stiff for me, but down from 50 and downwards I think it's great. So I tried it in RF01, in the Nordic Dots Model 99 rackets, and a bunch of other rackets. The Extreme Tour Oxetic, I thought it played probably the best of all the strings I've tried in that racket, and that's one of my standard frames. So an excellent string for control and players that don't mind a little bit of a firmer feel. I really need to stress that, because I don't want you to come and have like a sore wrist because you strung 56 pounds in a pure drive, because that is not the best idea, right? So try to string it lower. I tried it in the RF1 with like 18 kilos or 16 kilos, that's 36 pounds, and it worked really well. So this string really grabs the ball well, holds tension well, so it's a bit firmer, but if you want a firmer string, this is the one you go for. Otherwise, you can check out Pure Rush or the coming string that we will talk about as well. NordicDots.com is where you buy the string. It's 15 euros per set or 150 euro for a reel. You get 15% off using the code TennisNerd. So do that and check it out if this is a string that you can see yourself playing with. Firmer one, 5 sides, black, very controlled, good feel, and a bit tougher on the comfort level, but an excellent polyester at the right tension. Next up, Tourline O Toro. This is one of the most hyped up brands. They've been on Tennis Channel. They've done really good with sales. Obviously, these guys behind Tourline, like Eric, they are very, very good players as well, and they seem to test everything. They're really diligent, so I like their ambition and their inspiration. Some of the strings are a bit too soft for my liking, but I do really like Toro Super Toro strings, for example. Wasabi, Caviar are also good strings. As you know, Carousel, the ATP Pro and fellow YouTuber, has his own signature string, the K Pro, or is it K-pop, one of those strings, and that you can check out. Those are good strings as well that I've reviewed on the channel, like a unique hybrid. And they have the Omakase program where you can get a custom hybrid, which is a really cool idea. Tourline.ai for that. So this brand is already hyped up enough. They don't really need me to yap about them, but I tested the O Toro, which this is supposed to be their most anticipated string. This is in the marketing blurb. They did work on it together with Steve Johnson. You remember him, ATP 25 at his prime. And this has scored really highly in lab data. Do you trust lab data? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes the string data makes little sense to me and it doesn't really correlate with my own feelings, so I try to look away from it. As a tester, it's better to focus on what you feel about it. And they did say that it's like tested really high for spin, control, playing life, and comfort. And from my personal experience here, I find that this is the softest string of the 3 ones that I mentioned in this video. I feel like it is a great string for you who are looking for comfort, a string that is like very elastic and gives you like a nice soft feeling. It's not like multi by any means, but it somehow bridges the gap between like a multi gut string and a poly string. I'm a bit sad that they went for the green color of like Hyper G, which is such a famous string color correlation, but yeah, I can understand it. But the string has a really nice feel to it. Doesn't feel quite as firm as a poly, you know. So in this case, I think even for like a veteran player or someone who wants to try a poly, I could recommend this O Toro string. It's a soft string, so for me it worked best in like more control-oriented rackets. It is kind of similar in my head to the Hyper G Soft. I feel like those strings, which is one of my favorite strings, which is why I'm mentioning the O Toro string here, but maybe holds tension a bit better, because Hyper G Soft has a bit of an issue with the tension maintenance. This one holds tension better, really good like resilience in this string for being such a soft, comfortable, arm-friendly string. Some good spin. I wouldn't say it's the same as the Pure Rush. The Pure Rush gives you a bit more bite on the ball, same with Nordic Dots, so it's not as spinny. But it responds pretty well to flat shots if you're hitting flat. It could be a great string if you're a player that likes to finesse the ball a bit, because it has that good feel for a poly. but sometimes I felt it stayed a little long for me, so it's a bit too soft for my game. I prefer the other two strings here for my tennis and my rackets, but I could really see a lot of players enjoying this. It has received glowing reviews from other YouTubers, and I can see it. I do prefer the firmer strings generally, as you who follow me might know. But this string is good. It's a strong competitor to Hyper G Soft, for example, which is a favorite of the softer strings. But this one holds better tension. So decent spin, nice feel and comfort, some good power there. You have an interesting sensation of the ball staying a long time on the string bed for a poly string. So definitely something you should check out. I really enjoyed playtesting this string in a lot of different rackets, and I think you will too. So this could be the golden blend between a multi and a poly. It retains some of the properties you expect from a polyester, but a little bit of the softness that you would look for in a multi, for example. It's not as soft as a multi, but it's somewhere bridging the gap. That's how I feel about this string. A little bit soft for my taste. If you're prioritizing comfort, if you want to try a poly going from maybe a multi, check out the Tourline O-Tour. 20% off using the code TennisNerd. Use the code TennisNerd with most racket places. It's another Tennis Nerd approved string in the softer segment. 17 euros or 16.95 is the price I've seen, so a little bit more expensive than the other ones. I would definitely urge you not to skimp out on string, because if you find a string you like, use that and don't try everything and just stick with that string. I think it's generally a good idea. You will play better in matches and tournaments. If you play matches and tournaments, if you just like playing for fun, testing stuff, go ahead and have fun. But for tournament players, I don't suggest changing strings too much, or rackets, of course. 3 of my favorite strings right now, that ones that have been on heavy rotation in my crazy string lab here, and ones that I want to recommend to you. Let me know if you've tried these strings. Do you have a favorite? Do you like one more than the other? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.